The release of The Flash marks the end of the DC Extended Universe. No longer will our favorite heroes be subjected to a disconnected, disjointed, and discombobulated cinematic universe. Now, for the first time since 2017, the DC Universe will be one connected cinematic universe. But Shane, you may ask, what pray tell do you mean for the first time since 2017? Well, from 2013 to 2017, we have what was commonly known as the Snyderverse. Spearheaded by director Zack Snyder, his DC Universe started with Man of Steel, then continued on to Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, and ending with Zack Snyder's Justice League. Also, I'm just going to mention this now, some purists don't consider Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad to be part of the true Snyderverse because Zack Snyder didn't direct those films, but he wrote the story for Wonder Woman, and both of those films were produced while he was in charge of the DCEU, so by proxy, they're included. Regardless, his films were extremely divisive, so much so that it basically fractured the fan base. However, due to studio mishandling and mismanagement, Snyder and his vision were abandoned by DC. For more on that subject, go check out my video, Why the DCEU Failed. Nonetheless, Snyder had a vision for two other Justice League movies that would complete the character arcs set up for Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent. Sadly, as we know, this vision was never really seen into fruition, and the universe was kind of left hanging. While I personally disagree with a lot of Snyder's character choices for a mainline DC Cinematic Universe story, when viewing his movies simply as an Elseworlds tale, the character departures become far more palatable. In fact, to me at least, the whole universe becomes far more interesting if we let go of our preconceived notions of these heroes and embrace these changes. These are not our typical characters. This isn't our mainline Batman, Superman, or The Flash. So as soon as we stop comparing them to the accurate versions, the sooner we can appreciate Snyder for just taking a swing at something different. In fact, that's my biggest compliment to the Snyderverse as a whole. It dared to be different. Now, different doesn't necessarily mean good, but it was different nonetheless. After years of hearing rumblings of what Snyder's vision for his cancelled Justice League movie would be about, in March of 2021, we finally got answers. An exhibit called The Dreamscapes of Zack Snyder's Justice League, an exclusive exhibit, opened in Dallas, Texas to promote the release of Zack Snyder's Justice League. At this exhibit, they had all sorts of movie props, costumes, and concept art, but the most interesting thing revealed was Snyder's original storyboard and outline for Justice Leagues 2 and 3. This was the first time we received a concrete story outline that would have completed the Snyderverse saga. So let's just talk about what these movies were about and what the Snyderverse could have been. Originally pitched as one film, Justice League 2 grew in scope so much so that it needed to be broken up. Justice League 2 would be a very grounded, personal, and character-driven film that would follow the Justice League both together and separately as they mend old wounds on the road to become better and stronger heroes. Weeks after the events of the first Justice League, the team works great together as one united unit. However, the world is skeptical of them due to the power they hold. After the League saves the day from some natural disaster, Bruce meets with Lois Lane as both of them have been searching for Lex Luthor since he escaped prison. Meanwhile, Luthor in Brazil finds Dr. Maru, who's been experimenting on herself since World War I, prolonging her life. Since her defeat in 1918, Dr. Maru has been obsessed with Wonder Woman and the Amazonians. Lex offers her a chance at revenge, and she joins his team. In the Atacama Desert, Lex breaks Orm and Black Manta out of their desert prison. They were apparently imprisoned there at the end of an Aquaman movie we never saw. Lex then goes to Iron Heights Penitentiary and frees Leonard Snart, who was also in the Flash movie we never saw. He helps him escape, then gives him advanced weaponry in order to beat the Flash. Back with the Justice League, Superman learns that Lois is pregnant, but she is scared about it for some reason. Wonder Woman learns of a way back to Themyscira by using her lasso of truth on herself, and learns of a path back home, but also experiences a vision of herself as the god of war killing Superman. The Flash, with the help of Cyborg and a team of lawyers from Wayne Enterprises, managed to reopen Barry's dad's case. Aquaman is in a battle with the last of the Seven Kingdoms as they refuse to unite with the others. Batman tracks Luthor into Canada, where he instead finds the Riddler, scrawling nonsense on the walls of some isolated cabin. Batman learns that Luthor asked the Riddler to solve the anti-life equation, and he actually manages to do it. With the anti-life equation solved, Lex can now make life meaningless, so Riddler unalives himself. Wonder Woman makes it to Themyscira, Aquaman finally unites the Final Kingdom, Barry frees his dad, Batman returns to the Batcave, and Lois learns that Luthor has the 3 mother boxes. Lex then activates the mother boxes, just as a boom tube opens, and Darkseid and Desaad appear, taking the anti-life equation. Superman then leaves Lois in the care of Batman as he flies off to beat Darkseid. In the Batcave, we learn that Bruce is actually in love with Lois and he thinks the baby is his. However, she tells him he's not the father. Lois then tries to tell Batman that she's learned that Lex has something else planned, but Bruce just ignores her. Superman arrives at Darkseid's location and the two duke it out. Darkseid then boom tubes to Lois in the Batcave, causing it to fall apart. Batman, broken up about the baby revelation, kind of just fucks off as Darkseid is on a rampage. However, Superman makes to the Batcave just in time to see Darkseid kill Lois with his Omega beams. With his mind broken, Darkseid is able to corrupt Superman with the anti-life equation and force him into joining his side. Lex then signals his team to attack, and all across the world, the Justice League is attacked by their worst enemies. Dr. Maru unleashes a chemical attack on Themyscira, killing herself, all the Amazonians, and Wonder Woman. Orm and Black Manta attack the coronation of Arthur, killing him, yet Mira escapes. Captain Cold attacks the Flash and Cyborg, blowing apart Vic's lower half. And Batman barely escapes the Batcave as Superman turns on him. Unable to find Batman, Superman then flies to Lex Luthor and kills him. 5 years later, it's the Nightmare sequence, as seen in prior movies, with Batman leading what's left of the Justice League. Justice League 3 opens with Green Lantern crash landing on the Darkseid-controlled Earth, meeting Batman as he emerges from his ship. Based on the concept art, it looks like it's Hal Jordan Green Lantern, but he never gets a name. Parademons attack Batman and Green Lantern, but they are saved by Deadshot and the Flash. Green Lantern tells the team that he came to Earth looking for his missing partner, who is presumed dead like the rest of the Lanterns. The team then meet up with the other survivors at their hidden base camp under Wayne Manor. Batman tells Green Lantern that they have a plan to stop Darkseid and shows him the cosmic treadmill that will help Flash jump back in time in order to stop this all from happening. Cyborg then tells Green Lantern how time travel works and says they can only do it once a year, so the Earth will be in the same spot, or else the Flash will jump into bedrock or space. However, in order to operate the treadmill, they need a mother box, but stealing one will alert Superman. With the planetary alignment being the next day, the Flash will only have 10 to 15 seconds to warn Bruce before he crumbles into nothingness. So, Bruce tells Barry what to say in private. The next day, the Justice League consisting of Batman, Green Lantern, Deadshot, and Mira break into a stronghold and steal a mother box. The Justice League make it back to the Batcave as Superman arrives and a fight breaks out. Deadshot shoots at Superman with a kryptonite bullet, but misses, resulting in Superman killing him. Mira tries to pull the water out of Superman's body, but fails as Superman crushes her. Green Lantern fires his ring at Superman, but Superman fires his heat vision into the ring, causing it to explode. Cyborg activates the cosmic treadmill just as Superman throws him into a swarm of parademons who tear him apart. Batman tries to face down Superman with a kryptonite spear, but loses as Superman takes it from him and kills him with it. The last one standing, the Flash uses the treadmill and goes back in time. Back in Justice League 2, after Lois tells Bruce he's not the father, the Flash arrives and tells Bruce, "Lois lied to you, you are the father," before vanishing from existence. Bruce, now with this information, actually listens when she tries to warn him about Lex, and together they figure out that he's planning an attack on the League. Then, Darkseid boom tubes into the cave, and this time, Batman actually helps. When Darkseid tries to shoot Lois with his Omega beams, Batman jumps in front of her this time, saving her, but then somehow surviving himself. Superman arrives, and seeing his friend badly hurt, but Lois alive, goes on a rampage and beats Darkseid, and forces him to temporarily retreat. Lois tells Superman about Lex's plan, and tells him to warn the others. With this information, Superman saves the League, stopping Maru from releasing the gas, saving Aquaman from Orm and Black Manta, and stopping Captain Cold from destroying Cyborg. Despite being gravely wounded, Batman boards the Batplane and leaves to assist the League, but not before telling Lois, "I could have had a life outside the cave with you." Darkseid's full-scale invasion begins as Superman leads the countries of the world against the forces of Apocalypse. Wonder Woman leads the Amazonians off of Themyscira to join the fight, and Aquaman helps the Seven Kingdoms rise from the oceans and join the surface. The first battle against Darkseid, as seen in the Justice League, is echoed as the world of men, Amazonians, and Atlanteans unite to beat Darkseid. As the battle rages on, out of nowhere, the Green Lantern Corps just shows up and joins the fight too. During the fight, Wonder Woman's mother, Hippolyta, dies. Flash learns how to be in two places at once, Godspeed style. Cyborg overpowers the mother boxes, destroying them, and Batman ultimately sacrifices himself to save the world and destroy Darkseid. Somehow, it's never explained, but he does this. In the aftermath, Wonder Woman becomes the queen of the Amazonians, leading them to rejoin the outside world and negotiate a peace between all countries of the world. Aquaman is recognized by the Seven Kingdoms as the true king that helped unite the world. Cyborg evolves to the point of becoming a digital god and is able to make himself look human again. And Superman, realizing the baby is Bruce's, agrees to raise the child as his own. 20 years later, after a memorial commemorating Batman's sacrifice, Commissioner Gordon asks Lois if she's going to tell her son the truth about his father, because for the first time in decades, crime is returning to Gotham and needs a Batman again. So Lois takes her son into the Batcave and tells him the truth about his real father. The movie ends as a new Batman looks over Gotham City. Okay, so first and foremost, this was just a pitch and not the final product. For instance, this was written before Zack Snyder's Justice League was filmed. In that version of Justice League, while yes, he did restore his original vision, he also filmed additional scenes that contradict some things in this storyboard. For instance, when they jump ahead to the nightmare scene, Joker is there, along with Deathstroke, Cyborg with legs, and Amber Heard's accent.
I'll stab this through his heart for what he did, Arthur. With the sacred trident, the people will listen to you.
Snyder would later reveal that they needed the Joker because he knew where they could find kryptonite. So potentially, this is how Deadshot got his kryptonite bullets, and when Superman shows up at the end of the scene, maybe he kills Deathstroke or something. Also, there wasn't any sexual tension during Justice League between Batman and Lois. In fact, they didn't really interact that much. Swanwick was revealed to be Martian Manhunter, which doesn't show up at all in this pitch, and Lois is pregnant at the end of the film, as she and Clark move to Smallville. So maybe that baby isn't Bruce's, or they just abandoned that plotline altogether. But then when Mira asks if Bruce ever loved anyone, he has this look in his eyes like, "You have no idea." So who knows? Things are obviously subject to change. Nonetheless, these storyboards show us an interesting glimpse into what almost was. Some parts I actually really enjoyed. Lex's Justice League was an excellent element. Riddler solving the anti-life equation, then unaliving himself, was an interesting twist. The whole time travel concept they developed revolving around Earth's placement, or else the time traveler would be spaced, was insanely unique. And Darkseid's invasion destroying Earth, resulting in the whole nightmare timeline forcing them to time travel to fix it, were all great ideas. However, there was a lot of parts I really didn't like. Specifically, Bruce and Lois appearing to have a relationship that totally came out of nowhere. It wasn't teased in the prior movie, and this love triangle it created was just a strange choice to make. And also because of this love triangle, Bruce basically let Darkseid kill Lois because he was jealous. The thing is, if this Bruce and Lois romance was actually set up and done well, then I'd have no problem with it. It's just so random, and while the characterization of Snyder's Batman has a lot of flaws already, with this added on, it just makes him extremely petty too. But also speaking of Batman, he somehow survived a blast from Darkseid's Omega beams, which doesn't make sense. Maybe he had some special armor on, but A, it wasn't specified that he did, and B, how would he have prepared for that if he hadn't encountered Darkseid yet? Also, the Green Lanterns coming out of nowhere in the final battle was just kind of weird. I hope there would have been a little more setup for them, but maybe there was, just wasn't specified in this outline. Wonder Woman's vision of becoming the God of War went nowhere, and Wonder Woman somehow uniting the whole world felt a little campy to me. This, to me, seems like it'd be on par with BVS and Justice League. A few really good scenes here and there, intermixed with a dozen or more that make absolutely no sense. I don't think these films will ever see the light of day, and the more the Snyder Bros push for it and be rather dickish about it, the low chance of it actually being made becomes even lower. I think the best and really the only way this story could be told is through the comic medium. No live action or animated movies because they cost time and money that WB Discovery isn't willing to part with. However, a comic run written by Snyder is far more likely to happen because it'll be cheaper to make that than a movie, and because Hollywood executives only care about money. So those of you who really want to see this come to fruition, start pushing for a comic. The Snyderverse will never be restored on the big screen. However, it can be concluded on the pages of a comic book. So again, Snyder Bros watching this, push for a comic, not a movie. Anyway, in hindsight, it makes total sense why this didn't get made. WB wanted to make a cinematic universe. They wanted to compete with Marvel. They wanted an ever-sprawling cinematic universe that they could make multiple interconnected movies with, just like Marvel. This plan had a beginning and an end. Man of Steel to Justice League 3. Beginning and end. That's not what they wanted. Yet it's crazy to me that they let Snyder progress so far when it was obviously his intention from the beginning. Like I've said before, WB hired an extremely unique director with a style that is very hard to replicate and placed him in charge of creating a shared cinematic universe. You can't do that when you have a unique visionary. At the end of the day, this is the executives at Warner Brothers' fault. Their meddling caused the DCEU and the Snyderverse to collapse. Plain and simple. Now we can only hope that they leave Gunn alone, or else history is doomed to repeat itself.